Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of BunkaMania here on Bunkazilla UK. I am Jeremy Graves and joining me, let's say, if he is the Dr. McCoy, if I'm Mr. Spock, because our captain, William Shatner, otherwise known as James T. Kirk, has now flown into space, is Mr. Iain Boulton. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. He's got a space, Jim. He's got a space.
And of course, the reason I bring that up, everybody, is because WWE Hall of Famer, and I can actually say that, William Shatner has now flown into space legitimately.
Yeah, I was actually watching some of the post landing stuff, and he's absolutely had like an experience of a lifetime because he was just so blown away and taken away. It's actually quite wholesome to watch. To see someone who's obviously always been acting and stuff about going to space and so forth, and going to space for the first time ever or something like that. Well, for the first time, being one of the lucky few to actually go to space. And
yeah, he is
it's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, he's I believe, officially the oldest person to have ever been into space. But based on something I saw on Twitter earlier, not the first cast member of Star Trek to ever go to space.
Wasn't it Scotty's Ashes?
I believe actually there was actually someone who had, I can't remember the exact story, I should have looked this up now because I'm just going to look dumb, but someone who has been on Star Trek has legitimately already been into space, and that was actually incorporated into a storyline of an episode.
Okay, that makes sense.
And just to date ourselves even more, everybody, in case you didn't know, it's Wednesday the 13th of October. Yes, we are nearly halfway through the month of October. And Ian, it's been a few weeks since we last came here to talk some wrestling. Heck of a lot has happened. A lot has happened, and we're going to try and condense as much as we possibly can into the next 90 minutes. Give or take. What I would say, folks, is we of course are recording this live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Bunkazilla UK. If you want to join in the conversation elsewhere, you can, of course, as you're likely watching this now, watching the archive on the YouTube channel. And of course, you can find us on Twitter at Bunkazilla UK. And you can also find the Stomping Grounds Facebook page as well, if you so choose. But Mr. Iain Boulton, today I think we should start with probably the biggest story. Oh, I see a finger.
And before we move on to the biggest story of wrestling right now, obviously as we're broadcasting live on Twitch, do let us know in the chat if there's any issues with video and audio, because obviously we want to make sure this stream is at its most optimal level. We want to make sure you're enjoying the chatter here on the channel this evening. So if there's any issues whatsoever, just throw us a comment in the chat box and we'll take a look into it. But apart from that, let's get on chatting with wrestling. Jeremy, I apologize for the interruption.
No, mate, that was a very, very valid point. We do want to hear from people if they want to impart their thoughts and wisdom on us, as it were. So, AEW v WWE has been a thing for a couple of years now. There have been little moments of a Wednesday night war, as it were, and it's kind of escalated a bit, quite substantially in the last 72 hours or so, I suppose.
Pretty much. That's a mild way of putting it. So, okay. So, here's the thing that's been going on at the moment. So, what do we have? So, SmackDown is moving from Fox to FS1 this weekend. FS1 is one of Fox's smaller sort of sports networks in America. Doesn't have much of a bigger audience there. Last time SmackDown went over there, they lost a good chunk of their audience on that sort of move. So a way to combat this, WWE have decided to make a supersized edition of SmackDown for Friday. It is going to run 2.5 hours long, which will now cut into the first 30 minutes of Rampage. They are going to do these 30 minutes commercial free, and it's most likely going to be the main event, which will be Becky versus Sasha Banks. So WWE did that. And then AEW went, all right then, we'll do one better. They are going to do a live Rampage buy-in on YouTube on the start of the second hour of SmackDown, featuring some insane matches, like Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki.
Minoru Suzuki, you nearly got it.
You nearly got it, but we have that dream match going on, and now just to add a bit more to it, it's like Tony Khan's obviously throwing the promoter flag up, kind of obviously saying, hey, you want to take us on? All right, let's do it. Let's see if we can meet you. It'll be amazing if we can. It's just, the funny thing about this is what I think we were all kind of dreaming for, I guess, when AEW and WWE properly started going head to head, was basically obviously who can throw as much at the wall and how many people can make it stick. And AEW, when they sort of go to those lofty heights, they deliver. They deliver with that sort of stuff. Whereas WWE, they throw stuff to the wall. They throw stuff at a wall and hope it sticks. 5 times out of 10, or maybe 2 out of 10, it sticks. And we'll talk about it WWE a bit later on. But yeah, it's just very fascinating that this is really starting to heat up. In that sort of way. I'm just having a quick look at the Twitch chat.
No, that's cool. What I will add then,
your thoughts.
What I will add then is, I like the fact that Tony Khan has now brought out his Impact Wrestling Tony Khan persona into real life, but is obviously playing it up quite a bit in a trollish way. It's fascinating. The really interesting part for me is the fact that the buy-in is on YouTube. And not because, it's not that that's a problem. If anything, I actually think that's a very smart decision, because the only commercials that happen on YouTube are the ones you put on when it's streaming live.
Yeah.
So they can literally have it be entirely commercial free. It's also a great way to just to try and tell people, hey, come and watch our show. Even if they don't stay for the whole thing, literally telling people and publicizing it like they are, of come and check us out. They're doing their thing, but why not give us a chance? I think it is a very great, bold move. Ultimately, whether it works out for them or not is a different question entirely. But I don't think there is any issue of doing this, especially because the buy-in will be archived on YouTube. So either way, people can go and watch it. And even if they decide to watch whatever that main half hour of SmackDown is going to be, extra half hour, by the way.
Supersized.
Yeah, supersize. You add in half an extra size. That's not how it works at like fast food chains. You don't get another half size.
Jeremy, we've added 1 extra Brock Lesnar to proceedings. This should be fine. Also,
knowing WWE, they'll just make it a talking segment for half an hour.
They probably will. Another thing about it going to YouTube is they can get the live views in. Now, obviously, and this was something that was raised in Wrestle Talk's sort of news story about it today, is basically you don't have to have an issue about the ratings. If like 2 million people tune in for that buying show on Friday while it's live, for example, on YouTube, and anyone in the world can watch this, I don't believe there's any global issue rights for AEW on YouTube.
Correct.
How much of, like, I'm just trying to make, it's about perception. Perception would make it look like that AEW has done incredibly well in the face of WWE on TV on a YouTube live stream. And again, perception and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just having a look at some of the chats in the Twitch chat. Hello to Marcus Devil May Cry. Thank you so much for the follow. Much appreciated. And he's got a comment in there saying, my issue is AEW isn't picking a fight. So, yeah, I mean, Marcus is kind of right there. AEW haven't gone out and say, hey, we're gonna program against WWE. It's basically, for most often, WWE have been the ones always counter-programming. They decided to throw NXT against Dynamite. They decided to do all this sort of wacky stuff to kind of counter-program. And again, the Supersize SmackDown is another sort of excuse, or not sort of excuse. It's another demonstration of that. And AEW haven't actually gone to that length until kind of now with the buy-in, which is
exactly. And that's why I was mentioning about Tony Khan kind of bringing out his Impact Wrestling persona that he was doing earlier this year. Well, yeah, this year. I don't know what year it is at this point, but because he's like obviously throwing a bit of shade. I don't know if you saw the tweet doing the rounds of him kind of saying, "Oh, we're going to beat you" and whatnot. It's clearly him just embellishing it and playing it up. But why wouldn't you? Because as you just said, it's WWE who are the ones counter-programming. Because there was I think it was Variety or Forbes. It was one or the other, but there had been a piece commissioned talking about the fact that Vince McMahon has not had real competition for 20 years, and AEW has now arrived and is already proving in 2 years to be a really big competition for WWE. Ultimately, what I care about most of all, speaking as a wrestling fan here, is that the programming is better. And if them putting this extra half hour on SmackDown is then going to have to make the rest of the show better, because AEW have complete control in doing another hour on YouTube when they can't just add another hour on television.
Yeah.
I just hope it makes SmackDown a better show. Now, full disclosure, everybody, I have not watched pretty much any WWE since our last BunkaMania. Partly because I wanted Ian to try and tell me what the heck has happened, because there's been a lot happening. But also just because...
I have so many notes. This may take a while. I'll just bullet point it into the most bizarre things, and we'll talk about rope snaps later on.
There you go. But the thing is, the reason as well why I'm not watching WWE, I can't even say the name right now, is because AEW is just so much fun, and it gets to a point where I'm watching AEW, and I've had my fill. I don't want to watch WWE because I'm just like, well, it just ain't going to be as fun as that. And if inevitably I hear something was really good, I might go out of my way to find a video on the YouTube channel, because you can pretty much watch the whole show on there anyway at times. That's when I'll go out of my way to watch it. But elsewhere. Well, in fact, I say elsewhere, but on that buy-in show, it's going to have Bryan Danielson v Minoru Suzuki, which is basically a New Japan dream match for free. And it's going to be freaking great. Also on that buy-in show, if I remember correctly, it will be Lee Moriarty versus Bobby Fish, who is now a member of the AEW roster following his debut last week. The interesting part to me on that is it almost feels like, in a weird sort of way, while Bobby Fish is a perfectly great wrestler, he's been wrestling far longer than when he was in WWE, but it's like, you're putting an old NXT guy on the buy-in show that's going head-to-head with SmackDown. Interesting. It feels like there's a little bit of that in there, but at the same time, chances are it'll be another recognizable face, but that's going to be a good match because Bobby Fish is really good.
Yeah, give Bobby Fish some time, he'll do a good match.
So I'll tell you what, before we sort of curb that level of the discussion at the moment, anything else you want to touch on when it comes to AEW versus WWE specifically?
At the moment, I try to watch both where I can. There is some stuff that I just cannot sit through and watch through. And again, it's like for example, Sean Dunn 77 in the chat has sort of said, just can't watch Raw. I can't dedicate watching 3 hours. I always have to skim the crib notes for Raw. I will give some time to NXT 2.0, and we'll be talking more about that. I mean, there are some interesting things with it, but that's not saying much, really, I suppose. I think out of any of the WWE content that I probably watch is probably SmackDown, and that's mostly because obviously the bigger names are there, the more interesting characters there, or basically the most interesting character in WWE is there in terms of Roman Reigns. Other than that, it's again, it's like AEW still has an enjoyment factor to it. It is. Again, I enjoy watching Dynamite. I enjoy watching Rampage. And again, and we've talked about this. We've talked about this on our episodes. AEW approach wrestling with a very clear understanding that the audience aren't idiots. And they just want to see quality professional wrestling and some good storylines told at a reasonable and sensible manner of storytelling. Obviously, they may have the odd blip now and then, and that's perfectly fine. Not everything a wrestling promotion does can be perfect. But the fact of the matter is, I still come away more satisfied half the time than I do with WWE product. And if this is and again, it's like I think we've talked about this on episodes before where we think that this will finally make WWE do something about their content. I don't think it will. It just makes them double down, triple down, quadruple down. It makes them shoot for the moon ridiculously at ridiculous levels and hope that something is going to catch mainstream attention. I mean, to a small fair point, and not too small for a point, to a positive. Obviously, Big E has finally become WWE champion, which is lovely to see. And he's been utilized quite a lot on sports programs lately, like Fox's American football, even the Tyson Fury Wilder match as well. And it's just there are some good bits where it works on mainstream audiences and all that sort of stuff. But there is still quite a bit of just nonsense, and it's already been highlighted in the chat. The Queen's Crown tournament is quite nonsensy at the moment. And again, it's like we say we're going to talk about WWE in a bit, because obviously the way we're doing the show today is we're going to talk a bit more about AEW first, then we'll move over to WWE. But yeah, I think when we move to WWE, you'll see how bizarre and how kind of doubling down on all the wrong things.
A tonal shift, to say the least.
Tonal shift.
So you were mentioning a few minutes ago about like the quality of wrestling and presenting wrestling. Let's talk about the spectacle, just in a very broad term, of what Dynamite and Rampage Grand Slam at the Arthur Ashe Stadium was like. Now, the reason I mention this is because, as I said, we haven't actually discussed the shows, and we're not going to go into massive amount of detail on that show specifically. But the shows as a spectacle, I think, were freaking fantastic. Yes, seeing AEW in that kind of building, the crowd was so up for it. You just put the image on the screen there. The Danielson Omega match was freaking great. I had such great fun watching that match. I didn't watch it live. I watched it like the next morning just because I wanted to actually watch it when I was awake. But in hindsight, there's that point where I probably could have watched it live and have been wide awake, but then I may not have gone to sleep. So I don't know what ultimately the right decision was on that front. But one thing remains is that match set the bar for the rest of those shows, but all the Dynamite and Rampage Grand Slam. I thought they were a phenomenal success. I don't think they were perfect by any means, but they showcased so many people, and it genuinely felt incredibly special, which, given it was, a week, 2 weeks after All Out, is pretty damn impressive just how spectacular it was.
Absolutely. I think the Danielson Omega match is just, it was just something that you just really had to expect. Even if you watched it like catch up, it was just incredible, absorbing and engaging wrestling. Again, it's like, yes, it ends in a draw, but you're happy that it ends in the draw. It's the right result as well, I guess, for a wrestler like Danielson to come in. You can't have him lose like his first major match. Kenny Omega, you need to keep him strong for a certain Hangman coming up very, very shortly. It was like the start of like this new sort of promising era. Obviously, we talked about it last episode where this sort of transition from All Out to Grand Slam is like all these new talents coming in, Cole, Danielson, all that sort of stuff, Fish, much more probably to come as well. And yeah, it was just an amazing event. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a good fun one. I think there were some really corkers of good matches there. I think the Adam Cole Super Click against Jurassic Express, and that was great fun as well. I love the silly bollocks of Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes again. Oh, bless Arn. He tried to get round that post, but he fell off.
We'll get onto Arn Anderson in a few minutes, believe me. But yeah, the thing is, if you were tuning in for the first time, be it just Dynamite or be it just Rampage, it was a great showcase of all the talent that was there.
Yeah.
Now, weird as it sounds, I kind of wish there had almost been some kind of promo in the ring, just because there was actually a point where I did feel a little bit fatigued watching that much wrestling, but not because I was bored, just because I'd watched so much good wrestling. And to say that is pretty insane to me. The fact that I'm almost clamoring for a promo in a ring. Also because I just wanted to see what the reaction of that stadium crowd would have been like with a promo in there.
Yeah.
It would have been mental.
I think CM Punk had a good promo because he came out straight after the Danielson match.
Sorry, I should have clarified. More like a bit of a back and forth talking segment. Yeah. Sorry, is what I meant. Yeah. But because as we've seen in recent times on talking segments in AEW, the crowd have been on fire recently.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned the Super Elite there, the Super Click. Let's get on to what I'm phrasing as Super Elite versus the world, because at this point, that's what it is. As we said, Omega and Danielson was freaking fantastic, and they had the 8-man tag match on Dynamite last week, which it just demonstrated that every time those guys lock up, it's freaking gold. But that 8-man tag match, I've said it for years, multi-man matches kind of bring up mixed feelings for people in the sense of you kind of go, it's another like 6-man or 8-man tag match. Is it going to be any good? 8 times out of 10, they're really freaking good. And the ones that aren't are usually just pretty good.
I mean, from AEW standards, every time they have these big multi-man matches, I haven't seen a multi-man match which has been disappointing or lackluster. Everyone has their moment to shine. But
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
This match was incredible.
The 8-man opening the anniversary Dynamite as well, because it just I pressed play on the fight and it just went, we're in the ring with these guys. It's like, wow, we're getting to it straight away. We're going straight for it. We're going straight.
And do you know
into
what?
It.
I really liked that. Now, I would like to have seen the entrances and the reaction, but it also gave you that feeling of, we ain't messing around here. Like, we don't want to waste, let's call it like it is, we don't want to waste another 5 minutes or so of entrances. We want to give you 5 minutes more of wrestling. Yeah. That's what I really liked about it. And the match was mental. Ultimately, it was Jungle Boy that got pinned after the quadruple BTE trigger. And did you notice as well, it was Adam Cole that pinned him.
Yep.
So Adam Cole now has effectively 2 wins over Jungle Boy. And that feud is developing into something really, really nice. The Young Bucks just being dicks is still great fun. It's just really, really good fun. And they're still planting that seed slowly but surely of Christian more than likely turning on Jungle Boy, which I can't wait for.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things of seeing the Super Click together is the build-up sort of rope run, which ends with just the Young Bucks just giving Adam Cole lovely kisses. I just love that. Yeah, sort of things. It's wholesome wrestling. It's most wholesome.
On that note, I think my it was so dumb, but one of my favorite parts of that match was when everyone, like Danielson, was doing his dive to the outside, Omega did his Terminator dive, and then Adam Cole just started running, stopped, and just went, Adam Cole, baby! And I just burst out laughing. It was just so good.
It was just like the happiness in his face as he just went, wait a minute, I'm Adam Cole, baby!
It was the fact that was what he did instead of a dive. I freaking loved it.
Oh, yes.
Elsewhere, then, the TNT title. A lot's happened with that in the past few weeks because the Redeemer Miro was dethroned, as were his balls when Sammy Guevara landed on them when he was defeated for the belt. I don't know if you guys caught this, but when Sammy Guevara did the 630 splash to win the match, he did, by all accounts, legitimately like crush Miro's balls.
Oh, no.
There was a wonderful little segment. I think it was on the Sammy vlog that he uploaded like the Tuesday after he had won. Yeah. And he had actually been at a convention like the day after, and CJ Perry was there. And so he got her on camera and just said, sorry for crushing your man's balls.
Awkward.
But it was a really cool moment to see Sammy win it. And on the show that it was, the Brody Lee tribute show, which in itself was fantastic. And we're probably not going to go into massive amounts of detail about that show specifically, just because there is so much to cover. But that was just a wonderful, tribute's the wrong word, but it was a wonderful show to dedicate to him when he won it. And that match was really, really good fun as well. That I was in 2 minds as to whether they were actually going to change it. But when it was the main event, I thought, they've got to do something here. It just seems really appropriate to do it. And they did it. And I thought it was blooming great. I don't know what's next for Miro. Given that there were chants of we want Lana and no we don't in the crowd during the commercial break on Fight TV, it makes me wonder if this is going to be them pulling the trigger on it and if CJ Perry is going to come in some way and maybe redeem him. I don't know.
I personally would like Lana to come over to AEW because it's like when they were together as a team on the main roster, Rusev, Lana, during the whole WrestleMania 31 season, they were really good. They were a really good manager and wrestler team, and that worked very, very well. I think ever since they broke them up in weird fashions, first with the Dolph Ziggler side of things, and then with Bobby Lashley, and then the Liv Morgan stuff and all that sort of stuff. It's just like it really damaged. I think it really damaged. I think that sort of really good tenure they had together. Because I think other than things like Rusev Day, which obviously went well with fans, but never went well with the head office and all that sort of stuff.
It wasn't a WWE creation. It was something that other people had adorned.
Yeah, I think if they were to get together in AEW, I think the crowd would really, really go for it. And I think they will just love the fact that Miro will be out sort of spouting all this sort of I am the Redeemer, and Lana is obviously one of the two people that he answers to. God and his wife. So it's like, my beautiful wife, she demands this from me. You could have her just literally kind of in a ball-busting sort of way demanding Miro go out and crush
Was that
everything.
intentional what you just said?
Kind of.
It is so good. And to add to that as well, like Sammy had his first defense on Dynamite last week at the time that we are streaming this on Twitch. And he was able to defend the title against Bobby Fish. Had a really good match. And they did a great job of introducing him because, you know, chances are a lot of people may not have been aware who he is because he was in the independents before he was in NXT. But this is what I really like about AEW is they've got a great way of just quickly introducing people. And also as well, another thing that I really liked about this TNT title match was they actually, what's the word? They really highlighted, that's the word, the importance of the open challenge that the TNT title has been known for. Because they highlighted it's how Eddie Kingston debuted, and look at how he got himself that over in one night with the promo on Cody. They talked about Ricky Starks, who had the match against, I think it was Cody, if I remember correctly as well. The open challenge formula for the TNT title, if you will, has just brought people in for a one-night deal, be it, or they've ultimately ended up on the roster. But it's been genuinely fascinating to watch. And even saying that, like, Bobby Fish has come through, like, the Forbidden Door, because I think he was on MLW, like, the week before or something.
Yeah.
It's really good fun. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going to go next for the TNT title. Obviously, as we'll talk about, on Rampage this week, Sammy won't be defending the TNT title because he's going to be involved in a pretty high-profile six-man tag match, which we will get onto in a few moments' time. But any additional thoughts on Sammy Guevara winning, defending, and anything else additional to the TNT title?
I think Sammy winning was good. I think it's nice that he's finally got his due. Obviously, he's had so much promise. Obviously, he had that sort of rough patch with the interview comments and so forth. But the fact that he's managed to come through that still and become a real firm crowd favorite. I mean, a lot of the wrestling reporters like him as well. I think it's the next logical step. And technically now, I think pretty much all the champions in AEW right now are people that were never WWE to begin with. They are like proper homegrown AEW stars. Or I think as MJF kind of described it, the pillars.
The four pillars of AEW.
The four pillars. Yeah. So Sammy Guevara now, obviously one of those pillars, now with that belt adds a lot more prestige to it. I'm excited where it goes. I really am. And I think there's lots of challenges, lots of really good matches he could have. Obviously, if we steer clear of the pinnacle and we just have nice, fresh matchups, I think we'll have a lot of fun with this title reign.
I mean, you say steer clear of the pinnacle, but you know what? We'll put a pin on that. We'll come back to that because we're going to focus on the titles for a second. But there may be some pinnacle shenanigans going on when it comes to MJF and Darby Allin. But I want to actually talk next about the Women's Championship or Championships, plural, because we did get the announcement of the TBS Championship, which will be debuting in January in the final of a tournament to crown the first TBS champion. This, of course, being in similar vein to how they debuted the TNT Championship when there was a single elimination tournament during the initial stages of lockdown last year. Which in itself, thinking that was last year at this point and how early it was is pretty mental, considering everything that's occurred. There are going to be a bunch of women involved in that tournament. Who do you think will be the first champion?
I think it'll be between two. My head and my heart wants Jade to take it because I think the way they've presented Jade so far in AEW has been fantastic. She absolute sort of beast in the ring. This amazing sort of strong athlete coming in as well. I mean, partner up with it's Mark. I forget his surname. Mark
Sterling, I believe.
Mark Sterling. Again, it's a nice little partnership, and I love like the catchphrases of "I'm that bitch" and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a nice sort of way to start elevating Jade to a level before they probably do push her towards world championship status. The alternative, if it's not Jade, Thunder Rosa.
See, interesting you bring that up. The reason I mention that is because Britt Baker at the moment is, I'm going to say, kind of in limbo, but it's also because she has actually legitimately got an injured arm. Like, she's been wrestling with like a broken wrist for a while now. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe she's going to, I won't say take a back seat, but maybe actually have some time off that is probably needed just to rest up the arm a bit. But yeah, I was going to go with J2. By the way, I might sneeze in a second. Advance warning, people. I'm saying that in case I randomly just mute my mic or I make a horrific sound. But there you go.
It's okay. I might have a sound effect to cover it if it works.
Very well. But yeah, I reckon Jade is probably up there. But now, this being said, if you want to go by apparent logic of heel champion and face champion. We've already got a heel women's champion.
Yes.
I would think that Britt Baker's one of her next feuds will probably be Thunder Rosa.
Which is probably fair.
Because they've hinted at that they had that epic, was it Lights Out match or Unsanctioned match? It was one or the other, which isn't actually officially on their record books. But they've kind of started leaning towards that, especially as given in the Casino Battle Royal, Thunder Rosa was the last person eliminated before Ruby Soho won.
True.
Which is why I think the other person for contention of the TBS title might be Ruby Soho.
Okay.
Because I think she's someone that people really, really like. But also, I'm thinking in terms of helping to elevate a lot of the other women's wrestlers in the division, she is a fantastic wrestler to be able to help do that with.
Yeah. Part of me kind of felt that maybe some unfinished business with Soho and Baker, because they did very, very well with their match at Grand Slam, and as well as all the build up to it as well. They did very, very well. They really elevated what was which looks like an easy filler feud after All Out. But yeah, I think either one of those choices would be good for Ruby to either challenge Britt again or for Thunder Rosa. But yeah, again, if you want to have a nice face champion, I can see Ruby so winning it. Again, Anna Jay could be a good shot.
Yep, good shout.
Ty Conti could also be a good shot. Shida as well. I think the nice thing about the women's division with AEW is there are a number of talents you can look at and go, if I was to give the TBS champion to this belt to this wrestler, I think that would look good. I think that would look good. There are so many, I think, promising options in that roster. I think AEW still need to do a lot more and just have a few more women's matches on their main shows. But I think they're going around I think the TBS championship is one way they are going to solve that as well. So I think there's a lot of positives coming with this championship. But
and if there's one thing we can say as well, if AEW are going to hold a women's tournament, it's going to probably be a damn slight bit better than a certain Queen's tournament that's currently going on. Yes. More on that to follow.
Yes, but absolutely, despite all that chatter, money's on Jade. Money is on Jade.
From one world championship, that being the women's world championship, now to the men's world championship, because we had the casino ladder match. There was a Joker. Now, the Joker in the past has been someone that's debuted for the company. Yep. So there was a bit of chatter going on as to who it could be. I don't think anyone suspected it would be the return of Hangman. But you know what? When it happened, it was freaking great. It makes total sense. And following on from the change of the main event at All Out, and the fact that Full Gear is actually named after an old BTE skit that Hangman was involved in, it seems like the perfect storm. And also, gotta be said, because I've seen this pointed out on the net as well, the first Dynamite after Full Gear is in Hangman's hometown.
Yeah. I
can't wait. Assuming this is going to be the main event for Full Gear, because we don't know yet, but assuming...
I think it's been confirmed. I think it's been confirmed.
In that case, then, I can't wait to see Hangman v Kenny. It is going to be such an emotional thrill ride. I so badly want Hangman to win. And of course, we've got to get the Dark Order stuff sorted out with that as well. But that Casino Ladder match in general, just to get some thoughts on the match, I thought it was really freaking mental, some of the stuff they were doing.
It generally was mental. Anything Pac or Andrade were doing was mental. I mean, Matt Hardy, obviously the ring veteran that he was still doing swanton bombs and leg drops off ladders. Orange Cassidy was just having a whale of time. Lance Archer just wanted to murder people, as you typically do. And John Moxley was just happy just to throw punches left, right, and centre. But no, having seen Paige come back, it was kind of like a mini sort of yay, because I think I did that sort of yay sort of gif on Twitter the day after, because it was like you kind of thought, okay, someone could debut, but wouldn't it be sweet if this is when Paige came back? And it was, and it's like, yep, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Never occurred to me, honestly. It never occurred to me it might be Hangman.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the last time they had a proper one-on-one match was at Full Gear. So
it was a title eliminator, wasn't it? That led to Omega ultimately winning the belt from Moxley.
Yeah, so full circle. If there's any justice or any sense in good storytelling, AEW pays it off with Hangman finally beating Omega, and I think that'll be an amazing moment. And even for one of their sort of smaller shows, which Full Gear has been in the past, I think just elevates a bit more. And again, they have only like 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year. I think all of them are pretty big shows nowadays, especially if you're going to have Hangman versus Omega as your main event. But no, absolutely mental, that ladder match. Good fun. Hopefully people are okay afterwards, because there were some very nasty bumps in that one.
Yeah, it is. It was just a bit mental, and that's what it needed to be. And also, you were mentioning about Matt Hardy. I do want to give just a quick. We're not going to talk about it in detail, but I want to give a shout out to Jack Evans for his new skullet. Assuming he's kept that style. It was the hair versus hair match was good fun.
I love the promo. At Grand Slam where Matt Hardy's just kind of going. We're gonna have a hair versus hair. Well, it'll be Orange Cassidy versus Jack Evans.
So, what?
And Jack went, what? And he's going to win. I'm not sure. You're gonna win, Jack.
But the other thing as well, though, was how Matt Hardy, we're going to have to talk about this now, but it's like the way Matt Hardy went, this was actually all Jack's idea, because he's the one that initially brought the scissors to the ring with him to try and cut his hair. And you could just see the look in Jack Evans' face being, you've got to be kidding me. Just so good. It's little details like that I really like. Again, we've said it in the past, AEW rewards you for paying attention to stuff like this. It's great.
Yeah.
But also, on the world title front, I don't know if you're aware of this, but at least on Twitter it was announced, concluding at Full Gear is going to be a world title eliminator tournament.
Yes.
So like they did last time. So they're already going to start lining up who a future challenger will be. Mm-hmm. One would assume that the people in the casino ladder match might also be involved in that tournament.
I think a majority will be. By this time, we may have a few new arrivals as well in AEW, because I think November, that'll be past Bray Wyatt.
Is it past contract season?
Yeah, Bray Wyatt might appear in AEW, might not. Who knows? Lots of things could still happen in that sense. I mean, Marcus Devil May Cry made a point as well about Johnny Gargano, Johnny wrestling in AEW, because, and we are going to touch on NXT 2.0 shortly. Gargano's removed all references to WWE from his social media. So whether that means
has he?
So whether that means he's winding down his contract and just waiting for, I think, December to roll around, maybe, could be, who knows. But yeah, I mean, it could be an opportunity for some new faces to appear in the tournament. But I think if you're going to have Hangman as your, if he does win the belt, obviously at Full Gear and all that sort of stuff, you probably would like a good heel champion to go after him first, maybe. So you could say Miro. Miro might be a good shot. Maybe. Yeah,
I was trying to think if there's anything like, is there anything else unfinished, like in the canon of Hangman, that's occurred this year? Just off the top of my head, I should have thought about this. But
he's finished with Team Taz and Brian Cage. That was all said and done at Double or Nothing. Mm-hmm. Cage, Page, and Rage.
I know, right? Age.
I can't think of any really.
There must be like just a match that I'm not thinking about right now. I mean, in theory, if you want to call it like it is, one would assume that he's probably going to have to go through the whole of the Super Elite to get to Kenny.
Yeah, I imagine.
So whether ultimately he'll end up defending against Adam Cole, maybe.
Yeah, he could be.
No pun intended, by the way, with the way I said that.
Yeah, I mean, in the chat, there was a suggestion that Adam Cole could start turning on Kenny Omega at some point. Or, even better, Marcus just put it in the chat, MJF.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Well, that's a good little segue. Let's talk about MJF and Darby Allin. Because Darby had a match against, what's his name? Nick Comoroto, I think it was, of The Factory on Dynamite, which went like a couple of minutes, if that. Yeah. Then, by AEW match length, let's say, it was notably shorter than you might normally get. It's like, okay, short and sweet. You beat a giant. Fair play. Yeah. Then backstage, he is kind of, MJF has put out a challenge, if you will, to Darby, talking about the 4 pillars of the company. And this was set up from the week prior, where he had been talking about Sammy Guevara and the other name that escapes me. But then when he talked about Darby Allin, he just went, and Darby Allin, and just kind of shrugged it off. And they're really delving into Darby's past of like how he was involved in a car crash and his uncle died who was driving the wheel because there was drunk. He was drunk, I was trying to say. I've said that wrong. And this led to a segment backstage where it appears, and I say that because they were all wearing balaclavas while wearing suits, which was quite weird in itself. Darby Allin gets mullered seemingly by the Pinnacle.
Yeah.
But then the thing that was the most confusing about it, which I'm guessing is so that he could claim they weren't involved, even though it was clear they were, was even MJF coming out of the limo was wearing a balaclava while wearing a suit. Now, there is part of me that is genuinely wondering, is this meant to make us think this wasn't the Pinnacle? Because I'm assuming the guy who took the camera was meant to be Sean Spears. But the way he was talking or kind of laughing, I didn't recognize the voice. And I don't know whether it's just because I've never heard Sean Spears try and be someone like the Joker from Batman or something. But then there was Cash and Dax, and there was Wardlow, who ultimately did the F10 thing onto like the guardrails, which in itself looked flipping brutal to take.
Yeah.
But it does just make me wonder, is this meant to imply it was MJF, but it's ultimately proven it wasn't? And then is this going to be another way to... this is just me speculating. I don't know. But because by all accounts, it should definitely be like that the Pinnacle can deny it was them. In like one of those brilliant wrestling things of, it wasn't us. You couldn't see the faces, which MJF would do.
I think that's totally what's going to happen. It's like, you beat up Darby Allin. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. That's you. No, I wasn't wearing a balaclava. I wasn't. How do you know that's me? It could be anyone under a balaclava wearing a perfectly good suit, riding a limo with his friends, and having a big manservant do an F10 on someone. Anyone can do that. Anyone can do that at all. Can't be me.
Interesting tidbit for you here on the subject. On BTE, in fact, it was the Sammy Guevara vlog from yesterday. There was a segment involving Wardlow and Marco Stunt. And Wardlow notably had a very noticeable kind of shiner on his eye. Like his eye kind of looked swelled up.
All right.
So it kind of made me think, okay, I didn't see your face on Dynamite. Like, has something occurred? Is this meant to imply something? I mean, I don't know. And I think there was also some chatter online as well that MJF was maybe meant to have been at a convention or something and then pulled out over the weekend. Like the weekend prior or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Again, I don't know the full story. I just remember seeing something about that. But so there's kind of a few little hints here, maybe, that could imply that something's going on.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see and find out. I mean, all signs point to a Darby Allin versus MJF, probably at Full Gear. That's probably what's going to happen. Or who knows? They might actually meet in the Eliminator tournament. Maybe it might be a final. Who knows? But considering when you got people like CM Punk and Danielson about, I can imagine that's going to be a pretty stacked field for that tournament. So that's going to probably look cool. As much as I think I need to see the story develop a little bit, it's like I'm patient. I'm happy to let this story.
Oh, exactly.
Develop.
100% agree.
It's not like anything else another company does.
Yeah. You know who's not patient at the moment though?
Who?
Arn Anderson.
Oh no. Not Arn Anderson.
He is sick and tired of Cody's BS, quite frankly. And the promo that he cut, where he said, the thing about you, Cody, is if someone comes and tries to steal my car, you'll just let them have it. Whereas I'll reach into the glove box, pull out a gun, and I'll blow their brains out. I'm for the record, I'm paraphrasing what he said because he said it far more eloquently than I ever could, I guess.
It's like, you just say, okay, sir, have my car. I just open the glove box, take out the Glock, and I put his brains on the sidewalk.
There you go.
And the moment they came out, I think most people watching went, wait, what? It's like,
but honestly, it's got to be said, though, that some of the best parts of that, following that promo, was people making movie posters on Twitter of Arn Anderson wielding a gun. Some of them are just freaking insanely good. They need to be t-shirts and stuff.
They follow it up with this weird vignette or this weird sort of video the next week where it's like, I'm Arn Anderson. It's like, I don't like Cody, keep him away. I'm going to burn his jacket. It's like, what are you doing, Arn? You're just being crazy on the lawn. That's what I am.
It's Arn wanting to burn away the soul of Hollywood Cody Rhodes.
So basically, maybe make him heel.
I mean,
but then Cody keeps saying he doesn't want to be a heel. It's like,
well, the thing that doesn't help is that he was in a feud with Malachi, and
Yes.
everyone, regardless whether he's meant to be face or heel, and in fact, he's going to be in a feud seemingly now with Dante Martin for a while, given that Dante Martin put out a challenge and Malachi answered it, which is great.
I like
Can't
that.
wait to see that.
I like that segment. It's just basically, who wants to challenge me? I will.
Because there's a whole element where Arn's thinking behind it is Cody's gone to Hollywood, and that's why he's not doing as good now. Like, he's got the reality show, which we can't watch over here, but keeps being referenced a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
He's got the Go Big show, which we can't watch over here, but it's the show he did with Snoop Dogg and Rosario Dawson, I think.
Yeah.
He's got like so many outside projects going on that it's distracting him, and he's just not focusing on the ring. So Arn wants to like bring him back to wrestling. So it'll be interesting to see where this will go. I kind of foresee this being a way maybe of elevating some of the other Nightmare Factory students, whereby maybe Arn will start, maybe like, it might be a way to try and push Lee Johnson a bit more. Shoddy Lee Johnson, as he's called, because it's meant to be shotty, I guess, but you know, it's shoddy. Let's call it what it is. That's how it's pronounced. It might be a way to try and elevate Lee Johnson a bit more, or just some of the other people in the Nightmare Factory, because although AEW's roster is stacked, there is still a way to utilize Cody to help him elevate more of the Nightmare Factory.
Yeah.
And I think it could be a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, I think it could. I think it could work.
Also, for anyone who's watching the Sammy vlog, he may also be in a secret tag team now.
Okay.
Are you aware of this?
No.
So, Fuego del Sol
Yes.
has been doing some segments with another masked individual who clearly isn't Cody Rhodes under a mask, because, you know, everyone can have a neck tattoo that they can barely censor with a censor bar. And is like taking promo pictures. So, you know, there might be another secret tag team happening. Who knows?
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, I think this could be a good way to elevate some other guys. Or heck, just have other people just destroy Cody. Because I fully expect Arn Anderson's got some contacts. You know, heck,
I've got some
here's a dumb
dealers.
question. Here's a dumb thing. Bring in Nick Gage again. See what happens then.
You got too soft, Cody. I brought in the guy with the pizza cutter.
Oh God. Do you know what? Actually, slight tangent on that, but I want while it's in my brain. Are you aware that I think it was in the past week that Nick Gage and Jon Moxley had a death match in Game Changer
Yeah.
Wrestling? I want to say this. I am not a fan of deathmatch wrestling. Anyone that likes it, fair play. It's just not my thing. But I was on YouTube and I randomly got suggested a video of like the Nick Gage v Moxley hype video, which was 20 minutes long.
Okay.
It's really good.
All right.
Like some of it is like a bit stomach quenching from the amount of blood you see, but the actual reason that those two are going to have a match and just seeing Moxley look so unhinged at the thought of finally being able to wrestle Nick Gage in a death match, it's like, this is great. And it kind of actually made me want to see the match. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't want to watch a death match.
You do.
You
do.
There you go. But so there's no way to link from talking about Nick Gage and Jon Moxley in a death match to anything else I've got written down here. So I'm simply gonna talk about, you know what? I'll go with this: Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb.
Ah, yes.
Because Serena Deeb was a very pissed off individual, much like both Nick Gage and Jon Moxley are about various things when it came to the death match. Serena Deeb was pissed off that Hikaru Shida was seemingly going to be handed the 50th win, which I really like. They're putting a big emphasis that if you get to 50 wins, it really means something. Because
Yes, you get a trophy.
everyone in that building, everyone thought that Hikaru Shida was going to win, and clearly just wasn't really paying attention to the match, but was just trying to appreciate being a good fan.
I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of people looked at that match and just kind of went, "Oh yeah, Shida will probably eventually win after a long slobber, a long slobber knocker fight." And it was a good match, and it was just how obviously Deeb just went, "Nah, I want to win," and obviously went to sort of like dirty, underhanded tactics, and then decided to just you know that nice trophy you were going to get, have it to your face.
Exactly. It was just a really cool thing. And also, it was just fun to see how literally nobody in that crowd thought Deeb was going to win. And when she did, it was one of those genuine reactions of, what? It was so good. So I was really happy to see that because Serena Deeb's freaking fantastic. And I think her and Shida can have some more cracking matches because those two are great. I really like Hikaru Shida in general.
It's a nice new women's feud to see because we've had a lot of Bunny and Penelope Ford versus Ty Conti and Anna Jay, and it's like there's so many combinations you can have that feud go, and it's like let's have something nice and fresh. And I think Deeb versus Shida is going to be quite good fun.
Yeah. And you can add more people into the mix. Like it might be a way to get like a Ruby Soho v Deeb match, for example. Yeah, which would be really, really good. Also, given we got the TBS title tournament happening, probably see that match in a tournament, I reckon, at some point.
Yes, I think so too. I think so, possibly too. It'll be like a sudden, now they finally got a chance to fight each other again. Let's see what happens. That sort of stuff.
Speaking of people fighting each other, but now these guys are actually back on the same page, the Dark Order.
Oh, yes.
The Dark Order have now reunited thanks to Amanda Huber, the late Brody Lee, John Huber's wife, basically telling them to cut the crap and help your friends. And it was a wonderful moment on the Rochester show that was dedicated to Brody Lee. That was the word I was thinking of earlier. Dedicated to Brody. It was a wonderful moment, and the Dark Order are back together. They're doing everything by voting now, which was also emphasized this week on BTE when they were trying to decide over various things. And they were like, everyone in favor, everyone in favor, do the salute. And everyone's like pulling up the claw. It's like, it's a great little thing. And I want to see them do more of that. But of course, the big question now is what about Hangman Page and his relationship with the Dark Order? It's been referenced a little bit. And I do think they are going to ultimately help Hangman in the battle against the Super Elite. Because there's a lot of the Super Elite and only one Hangman.
Yeah. I think it will tie off that storyline quite nicely. I think once Page wins the belt, I think it will be Page riding solo on his horse with his whiskey doing cowboy shit.
I hope he comes out on a horse at Full Gear. In fact, wait. Okay,
no lassos. No lassos. No.
Tune into the Decadane stream to find out what that was about. But it's that. So, okay, Hangman's got an entrance at Full Gear. He's come out on a horse before. If he doesn't come out on a horse, what could he do for a special entrance?
He could get into a barroom brawl and then push out through two saloon doors going, I'm ready to fight. I've done some cowboy shit. Gonna do some more. I don't know why everybody'd be jiving to this thing. Let me just jive. It's like, just jiving to my match with Kenny.
Do you remember that? Oh, this is a tangent, but it's slightly related. Do you remember, I think it was the video game commercial for one of the WWE 2K games where they recreated the scene from Terminator, but it was with Moxley in there and stuff.
Oh, that's when they had Arnie as part of the roster.
Yeah. I've just got this vision now. They're going to create a mini movie for Page's entrance. And then that's how he'll come out the door. He'll beat up a bunch of people and then will just appear through a door.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have lots of... They'll have contacts. They'll make it happen.
There you go. Also, isn't there a Jericho cruise happening soon or something as well?
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably film something on there maybe. There's still a couple... Okay, there's just a couple more things to touch on. So, First of all, it was a fun match. Not going to go into massive detail, but CM Punk, Daniel Garcia, go and check it out. Also, he's still great on commentary. Let's talk about that pile driver.
I actually haven't seen the match yet. I am a little bit behind on my Rampage.
In that case, all I'm going to say then is check it out. Look out for a pile driver, because it's pretty damn good.
Oh, okay. I know a pile driver happens.
Well, that's the thing. When's the last time you saw a pile driver?
That's a good question.
There you go. Find out on Rampage.
I can watch Rampage, then I can see the pile driver again. When's the last time? In the future, Jeremy.
There you go. I do like what they're doing with CM Punk. He's been very open about just wanting to face new guys. Yeah. And the reason he faced Daniel Garcia was because they attacked him in Chicago.
Yeah.
In a segment, which you kind of just forgot about, but they showed you and you're like, oh yeah, I do remember that happening. It's little things like that. And his match against Hobbs at the Grand Slam show was good fun as well.
It was good. I think there was a little bit of a ropey moment, I think, with a Hurricane Run or something like that. But other than that, it was a good, solid match as well. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. It was just it's like, ooh, bump's a bit nasty, but it was fine. It was fine.
It'll be interesting to see if CM Punk is in the World Title Eliminator tournament.
I think if you want eyes on it, I think he will. I don't think he'll win it. Unless you're going to turn him into, unless they decide, okay, enough of happy smiley Punk, let's go to heel Punk for a bit, and that sort of way. Who knows?
They could do a draw.
Could do a draw.
Since someone gets a buy into the next round then.
Yeah, true.
The plot thickens. Speaking of the plot thickening, Lucha Bros and Andrade. Because Andrade still seemingly wants him to be with them. And his assistant, Jose, the assistant, as I think it was called on the title card this week, Andrade has effectively said he wants to have a match against Lucha Bros and he's going to bring in someone to team with him. One would assume it's going to be a luchador. Now, I'm not up on my luchadors, but I am aware of some names that could be pretty damn cool if they do bring him in. But I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this, but they're still building it. And obviously, Chavo's out of the picture, though there is seemingly some rumblings online that it's not a permanent thing. He's out of the way. It's like he's filming a movie or something.
Okay.
So he may be returning. But I don't think Chavo's going to team with him. No,
I don't think so.
But I'm excited to see where that goes, because Lucha Bros are just great fun. They're cool.
Marcus has mentioned it in the chat. And again, I saw one or two rumblings. Maybe an AOP? Maybe AOP might be coming into more... obviously, they released, I think, last year from WWE.
They got? I didn't even realise. God.
They haven't done any further wrestling. If they're getting back into wrestling, why not be big hulking henchman for Andrade? And his black
Black mask?
Black mask or black skull?
Black Mask.
Black Mask cosplay.
From Batman,
Yes.
It's really cool.
Could work. I do like that. I do like that attire for an entrance. It's quite cool. It's quite cool. But yeah, I mean, it could. I think Lucha Bros still have a few feuds with a few luchadors in.
Because they're the current AAA champs.
AAA, yeah. So maybe might be guest appearance by people from AAA or so forth. Who knows? We'll have to see. But at the moment, it's just like, again, it's a storyline that will eventually pan out, but we'll see how.
Or maybe Andrade will open a forbidden door.
Oh no!
Do you know what? I'll say this much: they probably won't get him, but if they could get Dragon Lee, who I think is Ryu Lee at this point in New Japan, they can bring him in. Holy crap! Holy crap. So the final thing to talk about when it comes to recent happenings in AEW, and I wanted to say this to last because I'm having great fun with this. American Top Team with the Men of the Year against the Inner Circle.
Yes.
Friday on Rampage, we're going to have a 6-man tag match. This kind of escalated a fair bit at the Rampage Grand Slam when it was Inner Circle v Men of the Year. The Men of the Year got the win, if I remember correctly. But then a bunch of American Top Team came out after the match, which concluded with MMA fighter, I believe it's Jorge Masvidal, giving Jericho the knee to the face, which looked like it sucked.
It looked like a very nasty knee as well.
Dan Lambert, the guy who's like the mouthpiece for all of them at the moment, American Top Team, is freaking great. He is the best. He must stay. And this is leading to a 6-man tag match on Rampage this week, following American Top Team and Men of the Year attacking Sammy Guevara after his TNT title defense, we were talking about a little bit earlier, where it's going to be Jericho, Hager, and Sammy against the Men of the Year and Junior Dos Santos, MMA fighter. This is going to be pretty damn cool, but I think the best part of this entire segment where this match was set up was where Jericho's music happened, as it were. They ran down to the ring. American Top Team was scurrying. Dan Lambert's on the ramp. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word then. He was on the ramp and he told them to cut the music. It was at the exact point where the chorus to the song started and the crowd just carried on singing. And then Dan Lambert's going, "Oh, shut up! No, stop it!" It's the best. It is the best to steal a line from Ortiz. This is gonna be good fun, and I reckon ultimately this is gonna lead to Jorge Masvidal v Jericho in some way, maybe at Full Gear. I don't know what Masvidal's fight schedule is like, if that's the phrase to use. I don't know. Yeah. But this feud must continue. I am loving this.
It's a good crossover with MMA as well, because again, with WWE, they've tried it again. We had Cain Velasquez a couple of years ago, and that didn't really go anywhere. I know Cain Velasquez has gone back into doing wrestling on other shows, on like back in sort of Mexico side of ways. But I think every time they've tried to do sort of like mixed martial arts in WWE, has not really.
Where did Velasquez wrestle?
Crown Jewel.
Oh, that's why I don't remember. Right.
One match, and then WWE went just like, it's okay.
Did he team with Ray Ray?
No. He had a one-on-one with Brock Lesnar for the WWE title, and that match went all but 2 minutes. Which was mostly rest holds, and then Brock Lesnar put in a Kimura lock, and it was like and then Cain Velasquez was never seen in WWE again, and was quietly released during the pandemic. So yes,
he had a good run then.
Yeah, stellar.
Joe, I actually, just to double back. Well, I say double back, but focusing on this for a bit more. Marcus Devil May Cry in the chat has said, I'm super glad that Ethan Page is getting a break. I completely agree. I think Ethan Page is great. Not just because I watch his toy vlogs that he does, his toy hunts on his blog that he does, but just in general, I really like the tag team of Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. I think they work really well. They've got some really unique and good chemistry there. And I love, what's the way to put this? Even in his feud with Darby Allin, it was great. I love how much of a prick Ethan Page can be.
Yeah.
He's almost got, and I mean this in the politest way, by the way, he's got one of those faces, kind of like MJF, you just want to punch. But only when he almost has to like flick a switch to make me feel like that, though. It's not the whole time, because he's got a really good smile. But there's something really good about that. I'm really glad. Also, on the Scorpio Sky news, it has actually been confirmed that he's re-signed with AEW for another 5 years as well. Yeah. So he's still in there for the long haul, and I'm really excited to see what happens next with the Men of the Year. Yeah. And also just where this feud goes to, quite frankly.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a good crossover with MMA as well. I think they're doing things quite well at the moment. I think when it comes to bringing in the trained fighters into the wrestling ring, it'll be interesting to see how they work. I mean, they've been okay with it so far, so I think this will be all right. I'm not expecting like revelations, but again, sports athletes have been able to take to wrestling quite quickly. I mean, look at Ronda Rousey coming from UFC to WWE. I mean, yes, it's about like a year or two of a run, but at least you can see what people can do there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's like eventually someone's going to shut Dan Lambert up, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to get a huge pop. Like maybe with a Judas effect. He will get a Judas effect. Judas effective.
But so, what does everything we have been talking about lead to? Well, we're here on a Wednesday recording live. There is no Dynamite tonight. There is a Friday Rampage with the buy-in an hour before, as we've noted. And then the next night, that being Saturday, it will be a special Saturday night edition of Dynamite. When it comes to Rampage, we have got in the buy-in portion, the hour before Rampage actually begins. So remember to watch it. If you're like me, you're going to watch it the next morning.
YouTube.
Try and find the link on YouTube without seeing any spoilers, because that's what I've got to do. Then try and find the Fight TV bit. That said, though, given Fight TV's past record of doing it, they might just put the buy-in as an archive on there.
Possibly. I mean, they do it with Dark Elevation, so
yeah.
it would not
so
be
they could well do,
surprised.
actually. Now that I've thought about that, there we go.
Or very simply, just unless here's a good idea.
Okay, I'm listening.
Log into the live stream before you go to bed. Go to bed. When you wake up.
So hang on, let me think about this. When does Rampage normally start? 3 a.m.
I think so. Yeah. But
so as long as AEW put it up by say like midnight, I might be able to do that.
But the thing is, when you open up YouTube, go to your library or your watch history, and it will be there. So you can get. So instead of searching, you can just hit the button there and go from there, and it'll be absolutely fine.
As long as the link is up before I go to sleep, that will work.
Yes.
So in terms of the lineup for what we have, Rampage on Friday, in the buy-in portion, we have got Minoru Suzuki v Bryan Danielson, which is going to be insane. And I feel the need to give this some more context, Ian. I'm just loading up Twitter right now because Bryan Danielson shared a tweet that AEW put up about the buy-in. He said the following about Minoru Suzuki. Quote, in 2004, I wrestled Minoru Suzuki one-on-one. He beat the shit out of me. Showed me what violence and sadism inside a wrestling ring looks like. Since then, I've learned a thing or two about violence myself and sadism. Excited to show Mr. Suzuki what I've learned. End quote.
Oh.
This is going to be so good. I can't wait. So we've got that. We've also got Lee Moriarty versus Bobby Fish on the buy-in. And also announced on Rampage, based on what I can see from a cursory quick look on Twitter and such. We've also got CM Punk v Matt Sydal. We haven't actually talked about that. How Leo Rush, of all people, was the one that set up this match, which in itself is really random.
Leo Rush, financial advisor.
Sorry, yes, you're correct, yes. And then we've also now got Ruby Soho versus The Bunny. And I believe that was confirmed on social media.
Yeah.
Then Saturday Night Dynamite, it has been confirmed so far. We have got Bryan Danielson v Bobby Fish. So 2 Bryan Danielson matches in the space of like 24 hours. I am fine with this. There is also, as mentioned, going to be an AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament taking place at Full Gear, or concluding at Full Gear, I should say. And the bracket will be announced Saturday night on Dynamite. Mm-hmm. And also, having just done a quick look on the All Elite Wrestling on TNT Twitter account, apparently we will also be getting Malachi Black v Dante Martin.
Dante Martin's going to die.
So you know what? Make this final AEW point, but here's a little theory. Malachi Black is very much into the occult and such.
Yes.
Dante is quite an occult or dark-sounding name. What if Malachi kind of beats him and tries to take him in as like a new protege, trying to steal him away from Matt Sydal so that we ultimately get some kind of Malachi v Sydal feud leading to Dante Martin having to make a decision?
It could work. Could work. Could be a thing.
I will add, I'm very just amused that I basically get to see like a circa 2003 Ring of Honor match in AEW with CM Punk v Matt Sydal.
All I see with Malachi Black and Dante Martin is they'll have a fun match, and then Malachi Black will just kick someone's head off, and that's it. It's like, you've got to build the House of Black up.
Exactly. I'm just going to do a cursory quick look on Twitter to see if anything else has been announced so that we don't miss it. Apparently CM Punk's gone sneaker shopping, so look for that on Twitter, everybody.
Breaking news there.
No, I think that's our lot, so I'm going to leave it there for the AEW chat. But suffice to say, Ian, AEW is great fun.
Yes. What is partially great fun and also somewhat confusing, WWE is.
Right, I'm going to sit back for this. So, now, as I said, everybody, I have not really seen much, if any, WWE since we last did BunkaMania. So, Ian, I'm going to defer to you to cover what you want to talk about. / what you have to talk about.
Well, I'm gonna try and skim through as much as I can,
and I will try and give my genuine reactions as I'm hearing it, because legitimately I barely know anything other than how much this Queen's tournament has seemingly been a joke. That's all I know.
Okay, so at the moment, the big major thing that happened just after our last episode was the eventual rebranding of NXT, or NXT 2.0 as they would like to go, and yes, they went from black and gold to wonderful colour.
So, can I be honest with you?
Go ahead.
I like the look of that.
I like the arena. I like the style of the arena. I think there's too much bright neon colour, but I like that sort of Colosseum. I like that sort of Colosseum effect of the ring. It's very different to what you see on a lot of the main roster stuff, and even on other wrestling shows. So that's quite cool. And yeah, I think it's been all right. I think in terms of the stage setting, it's all right. I
will quickly clarify. The reason I like the look of it is more just because of how, what's the way to put this? You could just see more in the arena. It doesn't feel like you're in like a dingy warehouse, for example, and it's just really dark and you can't, you know what I mean? It feels like it's I guess the only way I could describe it is it feels like it's just a bit better produced. I didn't have an issue with how NXT looked, but just seeing that, it's like, oh, I can kind of just see everything.
I mean, I think to a point, some changes were definitely needed with NXT. I mean, I think that the fact that obviously the ratings issue was one of them, but it'd been very stagnant for a while. And despite the fact we've had some really great matches over the last couple of years of NXT, it really was kind of like it needed something a little bit new. That's not to say, I think at the moment, my current thing with NXT 2.0 is I can understand it more as a developmental side of things nowadays. But it's like there's some bits that are okay, there's some bits that are not okay, and it's just a very random sort of checking of things. So in terms of, I'm trying to think what's going on here at the moment.
So I'll tell you what, the one thing I have heard about quite a bit, and you can add or not say much as you want, the one name I keep hearing about is Bron Breakker.
Oh, you mean
who I believe
Bron Breakker
is Rex Steiner, as far as I'm aware, the son of one of the Steiners. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but we'll leave the picture on screen for a moment if you want. But tell us a little bit about what's been going on with Bron Breakker, because seemingly he is a highlight of NXT from what I've anecdotally heard.
Yeah, so Bron Breakker's been like one of the major sort of players in the NXT 2.0 division right now. So yeah, basically, first episode of NXT 2.0 opens up with a lovely LA Knight promo going, "Let me talk to you," and then all of a sudden he's interrupted by Bron Breakker, who just wants a chance to prove himself and goes out and beats LA Knight within like 2-3 minutes, and a very good match as well. And then ever since that, Bron Breakker has been coming back. Bron Breakker has been kind of like the big highlight of NXT 2.0. It's all about. It's like. He's very accomplished as a wrestler, obviously as a Steiner in his blood and that sort of stuff. Very accomplished as a wrestler. He's good on the microphone. He's got a presence. He is like most matches. He's been a highlight half the time, and it's just been very entertaining to watch him, really. And I think at the moment they've positioned him as the challenger to Tommaso Ciampa's NXT Championship. We'll rewind a little bit and go to the NXT Championship in a moment. Okay. But yeah, I think out of all the intention to launch new stars and new faces, Bron Breakker is certainly one of them. A lot of people are frowning at the name. Me too as well, to be perfectly honest.
If you've got a Steiner, the next generation... The thing is, WWE have done this for so many years, it just doesn't surprise me at this point. It's like... Why say you've got like the next generation of like insert wrestler name here, but you don't let them use their name? It's like, look at Charlotte, for example. Yeah. Prime example.
I think there may be different reasons why they've gone with Bron Breakker over Rick Steiner, and it's probably one, they probably can't trademark Steiner's name or whatever, because obviously there's always been that sort of thing of trying to trademark wrestlers' names for a period, so maybe they weren't able to do
Change the spelling. Is it so difficult?
Again, maybe they don't want to just remind people that obviously the fact it doesn't help that he dresses like a Steiner, wrestles like a Steiner, speaks like a Steiner, all that sort of stuff. I think for a moment as well, they sometimes don't want, unless it's pivotal to their character, they don't want. I think I can understand if WWE doesn't necessarily want a family name to kind of hover over them. Maybe down the line, maybe when Bron Breakker gets to the main roster, maybe they will decide to go, hey, by the way, I'm actually a Steiner. My name's Steiner now, all that sort of stuff.
Do you know what? That would be the most WWE thing for them to do.
I would
like having because case in point, they've done it before, but have a developmental wrestler be a certain character a certain way all through their developmental run and give them something new when they go to the main roster. Look at, try to think of a name off the top of my head, Matt Morgan.
Yep.
He was a freaking just a dominating beast in OVW, I think. And then he came up and he had a stutter. Or you look at the Basham brothers, I'm really showing age here, who came up to the main roster after they had been blood rivals, basically, like a blood feud. Or something along those lines, just proper bitter rivals. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But sorry, continue.
No worries. So the whole thing that started NXT 2.0 off, Samoa Joe had to vacate the title a couple of weeks after winning it due to medical reasons. Coincidentally, 2 days before NXT 2.0 launches. Apparently, it's generally a medical situation, so
which is a real shame.
Which is a shame, but it's a shame that Joe's not there for the start of it all. So yeah, after a big fatal four-way between Tommaso Ciampa, LA Knight, Pete Dunne, and Von Wagner, who is I believe Von Wagner, the offspring of Cal Bloom, I believe he is. I believe he's a Bloom wrestler.
Von Wagner.
Yeah, who has I don't mean this meanly, but it's just the way I feel his character's presented on screen, a plank of wood. Because basically Kyle O'Reilly's supposed to be in that match, gets taken out by Dunn and Ridge Holland, and Von Wagner helps out, and then William Regal goes, "I've met this really lovely chap. He saved Kyle O'Reilly. Here is Von Wagner. Hello, Von. Hi. Do you want to wrestle? Okay." There you go, in the main event. And the moment they did that, I generally thought they were going to put the belt on him.
So I feel the need to ask an important question here.
Go on.
Who has more charisma, Von Wagner or Plank from Ed, Ed and Eddie?
Can Plank from Ed, Ed and Eddie hit a tire with a sledgehammer?
For the purpose of this conversation, yes. With assistance.
Because they both with assistance, well then Von Wagner has a bit more charisma because he can do it by himself. But yeah. So yeah, the thing with NXT 2.0, I'll try to be quick on this. It really now does feel like it's developmental, which if that's the purpose of NXT, fair enough. If it means more talent move from NXT 2.0 to main roster without some shit going on or shittery going on, like Karrion Kross going on and losing to Jeff Hardy and stuff like that. If you can just pick up the character from NXT 2.0 and just go, off you go, jobs are good and absolutely fine. And they've already taken a few characters from NXT 2.0 in the draft, and we'll talk about that a bit later. So yeah, if that's the purpose, then fair enough. It's not what we're used to, or not what we've been used to for so many years. And yes, it is an absolute culture shock. But there are some little positives. Bron Breakker's one of them. There's promising talent. There's talent that doesn't resonate. So you have some really hokey characters. Tony D'Angelo, your typical Italian American mafia character.
I swear Tony D'Angelo is a hockey player that got banned for being a colossal dick.
Yes. And many people have said, have WWE not checked Google? But yeah, Tony D'Angelo just going, I'm Tony D'Angelo. I'll come and I'll just do a match and I'll win and all that sort of stuff. I had a terrible accent. I apologise.
I'm imagining you probably did it maybe to the degree that he would have been shown how to do it.
Probably. You also have Andre Chase, who's a university teacher who's trying to teach students how to win at wrestling matches, and the students keep pointing out that he's a cheater half the time. Gets annoyed. You've got an Oprah Winfrey TMZ crossover with Lashana Lash, who has these video segments of just going, I'll tell you what's not hip, this, I'll tell you what's not, and it's random nonsense, and it doesn't work. And it's annoying me, but the one character that sticks out like a sore thumb and in a very bad way is Joe Gacy. So Joe Gacy here is a wrestler who promotes constructive conversations in a safe space where people can work out all their differences. Yeah,
he's in a wrestling ring.
He's trying to be a wrestler for the woke generation, and yeah, there's got a bit of traction with Fox News and stuff like that. Saying, look, WWE are dealing with wokeness and all that sort of stuff, and it's just this is WWE, and the best constructive takedown on this is Pete Quinnell over at Wrestle Talk. I think if you look it up, one of their reviews from NXT, Pete and Tempest. Pete nails this on the head. WWE are taking something like mental health and trivializing it, and it's worrying. It's kind of making fun of needs for things like safe space and stuff like that. It's not safe spaces because people are easily offended. Sometimes people need safe spaces because they need it for their mental health. They need it for those sort of reasons. And the way they are just throwing this out like it's look at this look at this fun character that we've come up with. Oh, isn't it fun? Isn't it silly? Isn't it kind of, doesn't it get you annoyed? It's like, it's kind of like it's generating heat, but go away heat. Not, I hate this character, but I like him really. It's, no, I don't like this character. It makes me uncomfortable.
But the thing is, though, not to cut you off here, but it doesn't surprise me WWE's doing something like this because they've done stuff like this for literally decades.
Yeah. I mean,
it shouldn't happen, quite frankly. I agree. It's not good at all. It's freaking disgusting in some ways, but it doesn't surprise me. And that's getting away with one of the saddest parts about it.
Yeah. And the fact is, Gacy's had a couple of matches, and Gacy's fine as a wrestler. I have no issues with Gacy as a wrestler. I just don't like the character, and I don't know who's created this character. I don't know if this is WWE creative having a laugh at woke side of things. I don't know. It's just I just don't like it. I generally don't like it. Yeah, and that's all I've got to say. I mean, I don't want to waste my time shouting heresy over and over again, but it just. Yeah.
Do better, WWE.
Yeah, do a lot better. A lot of things coming up.
Or just do something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if this prevents characters going from NXT to WWE and being completely repackaged or treated as a joke, fine. That's a necessary evil that we have to live with, I suppose. And yeah, if this, I mean, the nice safe comfort is you've got other places like AEW and Impact. So if you've really enjoyed the super indie feel of NXT and you don't like the new main roster style that it's going in, then go and there's plenty of wrestling for you to go and enjoy. And half the chances are some of the talent from there will be going over there, or already have in the case of Adam Cole. But yeah, I think changes were definitely needed. It's just, I think some people will see this as too extreme of a change, but. Yeah.
Speaking of extreme.
Extreme rules, or the extreme rules that wasn't that extreme. So yeah, that's been the major pay-per-view that we've had in the last couple of weeks. Not much to really write home about, to be honest.
Was it actually worth watching?
Serviceable wrestling, stupid storytelling, typical WWE. The big stories. Sasha Banks is back. She interrupted Bianca and Becky's match, which was fairly all right. It was a normal wrestling match. How extreme was that? To the point that it was a DQ finish. The only major Extreme Rules match was Roman Reigns versus the Demon Finn Balor, and Roman Reigns, I think we all expected he would survive, but maybe through the power of God, Roman Reigns retained over a Demon Finn Balor who was having a hulking up moment. You've probably seen clips on Twitter of just Finn Balor laying face down on the ground in like a normal lighted arena, and then the red lights just go bum bum, and he just flops like a fish. He just flops like a bit, and it just goes and he just stands up, and then the Finn Balor music plays, and he just goes on boss mode and basically starts throwing the Usos left, right, and center. He puts Roman through a table, gets Roman set up, and at this moment in time, I'm kind of watching this for the first time, thinking, that they could put the belt on Finn. This would be great. This is like an insane moment. It's like, it makes no bloody sense, but why not? If this is how we're going to crown Finn's proper reign as a Universal Champion, all right, I'll go for it. And then just as he gets to the top rope, whoopsie.
Wait, what?
The top rope snaps. Everything stops. The top rope snaps. Everything stops. Roman then just delivers a spear. The end. Looks up at the sky and goes, "Did God save me?" And no one talked of that ever again afterwards.
So, because you'll know, has the Demon, prior to this match, lost a match?
With the exception of NXT, no.
So his first main roster loss came because the top rope snapped.
snapped. Or, as eagle-eyed audience members noted, someone with a pair of scissors ran in. Oh no, one of the camera crew just cut it with a pair of scissors.
Seriously?
Yep. And yeah, no one has talked about the top rope bit ever since.
So after that monumental show, then there has been a draft going on, right?
Yes, draft has happened. Roster's going to affect a week tomorrow after Crown Jewel. Wait. So when's Crown Jewel? A week tomorrow.
Why am I surprised they're running Saudi on a Thursday? Sure.
Why not? So WWE's been the weird sort of crossover universe that it has been for the last couple of weeks.
And by the last couple of weeks, you mean every week?
Every week is a crossover week in WWE. What are we going to cross over today, Vince? We're going to cross over it all.
Every week's an event comic.
It's good shit. Book it. In terms of major changes, SmackDown has picked up Charlotte Flair, who is still Raw Women's Championship, by the way. Drew McIntyre's moving over. New Day's moving over, minus Big E, who's staying on Raw.
Because of course.
Well, he's technically champion now. I mean, the fact is, Big E the fact is, they still come together at the pay-per-views. It's fine. It's like I can imagine people want them all together, and I get that. But it's like I think it will help Big E more as a singles wrestler. I mean, he's WWE champion now. He doesn't need more help. But it's like I think it would kind of cement that sort of championship material, I suppose. So Shayna Baszler is moving over to SmackDown as well.
Okay.
From NXT, Ridge Holland has been called up, not Pete Dunne, with the Peaky Blinder with his hat and his truncheon going. That was it's a weird entrance on NXT. It just starts off with just some pre-film footage. I mean, just in a big trench coat, hat, going Peaky Blinder, and then he just trots out. I mean, good on him. Obviously, former rugby player as well, UK rugby player, turned wrestler. Great. I mean, I think he's more of a beast. He's more like a power wrestler, and I think he'll have some fun. I think the big pick from NXT, Hit Row, go to SmackDown.
All of them?
All of them.
Nice.
All of them. And yeah, so that's going to be fun. Swerve lost his North American title last night to Carlito Hayes. Oh, well.
Wait. Before he had a match on the main roster and got beaten in 2 minutes?
Yeah. Yes. We're building stories. Yes.
Someone learned something.
Yes, and also from NXT, Xia Li is going there as well. So
cool.
no Boa or Tien Shin, whatever the hell.
Meng the Merciless, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. The major players staying put. Reigns is staying. The Usos are staying. They're the big non-movers. There was a good storyline where Brock Lesnar was happily declared on an interview that he was a free agent, winked and trotted off. Reigns was very angry with Paul Heyman about it and said, "I better make sure the Usos are drafted to SmackDown, or you're going to die." No. I think the correct terms was he told the Usos, "If you guys aren't drafted to SmackDown, leave Paul Heyman for dead." But they have been drafted, and everyone is fine. And Paul Heyman has been swearing blind allegiance to Roman. Whether that means Roman gets screwed or something, I don't know. Who knows? But Rock and Reigns is still going on in a good way. In terms of Raw, Big E is there now, WWE champion. Becky Lynch has moved over. Bianca Belair's moved over. Seth's moved over. Finn Balor, Street Profits, Edge. From NXT, you've got Austin Theory, who's having a little run-in with Jeff Hardy at the moment. Took a selfie, beat him up, and then actually beat him the following week on Raw. He has the elusive victory over Jeff Hardy, unlike Karrion Kross. Well, Karrion Kross has beaten Jeff Hardy twice now, but not
you know.
Yeah, not.
It's all about you can't change your first impression.
Not in a damaging way. A few tag teams have been split up as well. Natalya and Tamina have been split up. Mason T-Bar have split up. No one's crying over that one, by the way.
Wait. That was Retribution, right?
Yeah. They're properly done now.
They were still together?
Apparently.
Okay.
Shotzi and Ox have been split up. Baszler and Jax have been split up. Ali and Mansoor have now decided to split up as well. They have a match at Crown Jewel. Things have changed. Big thing from Raw. Olympic gold medalist Gabe Stevenson has been drafted to Raw as well.
Oh, okay.
And he's yet to have any semblance of a match in WWE. He's likely going to join Raw, I think, after his contract with Minnesota Wrestling runs out at the start, I think, around 2022. So probably in prime for a WrestleMania debut or something like that. So they clearly have a plan for him. So we'll see.
So they used a draft pick. Now, I should say, Olympic winning wrestler. I've got got the chops. Look at Kurt Angle as an example.
Yeah.
But you use a draft pick you can't use for 3-4 months.
He came in, he was like one of the final picks for Raw on the 2 nights. So
this feels like this was an ESPN headline crap.
Yeah, I guess so. But again, it's like I expect we'll see him around WrestleMania time. He might make an appearance at Royal Rumble. Who knows? Who knows?
I was about to say maybe he'll have a match with Kurt Angle, but Kurt Angle's actually retired because I was there when it happened.
Yeah. Thank you, Baron Corbin. Or Happy Corbin. Or Constable Corbin. Which it's... Gabe, Sean done in the chat. Gable to be Kurt Angle's long lost best friend's son.
Jason Jordan.
Yeah. Oh, I miss Jason.
Jordan. That's a storyline to bring up, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think the main event for Raw, and in terms of people challenging Big E, let me just make sure my headset is nicely on point. I think in terms of the main event for Raw looks promising. I think Big E's got some really good challenges there. You've still got people like Randy Orton there. You've still got Matt Riddle and stuff like that there. I'm not sure if AJ Styles... I think AJ Styles has moved over to SmackDown. I'm not sure.
Was Omos drafted at all?
I'll need to check.
That's fine.
It's like, you can tell how much of an impact that draft trade was, because I can't bloody remember it.
So, what's happening when it comes to, say, like, the SmackDown Women's Champion being on Raw in the sense of the title? Are they just going to have the SmackDown Women's title now just be the Raw Women's title?
It depends how Crown Jewel ends up, because we've got Bianca, Banks, and Becky triple threat Crown Jewel for the championship. So
which one?
SmackDown.
Okay. For some reason, I thought one of them was Raw. Sorry.
Well, 2 of them are Raw now.
No, I mean, as in the Raw Women's Champ. I thought 2 of them were champions, as I meant. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No,
so like a winner-take-all deal.
No, Charlotte hasn't got a match so far at Crown Jewel, as far as I'm aware. I mean, if Becky retains, they'll probably just do you give them that belt, and you give them that belt. Like they did with the Street Profits in New Day last year.
Was that literally how they changed them?
Yeah, it's like, you're both champions, but you're on the wrong brands. Swap belts, please. I'm Adam Pearce. Thank you. So I think the Raw main event scene looks promising. SmackDown's a bit sparse. I think McIntyre's going to have the Roman feud after Survivor Series, because they're clearly building Big E versus Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. That's going to be fun. That's going to be great stuff. But yeah, I think it'll probably be McIntyre as the filler feud all the way through to like Royal Rumble, that sort of stuff.
The Survivor Series is the one time of the year where the brands cross over.
It's not like every day of the year. They may start elevating more of the mid-card talent, so maybe Cesaro might find himself back in the main event picture, that sort of way. I mean...
Give me Cesaro v. Drew. They'll beat the piss out of each other. I'm in the mood for it.
I need to check. Did Sheamus go over to SmackDown? I think he did.
Reform the bar.
We are the bar.
Or reopen the bar, I guess would be the way to put it.
Yes. I think he is.
While you're looking that up, Sean Dunn in the chat has just said, I think they're going to do a unification match with the women's titles. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me, because if they want to do the whole Becky 2 belts thing again, they could do that. Or I guess it would be Bailey. Was it Bailey DOS belts? I don't remember.
Possibly. I'm not. I'm going to SmackDown. I'll just do SmackDown draft 2021. There we go.
Also, while you're looking it up, how did the draft actually occur? Was it like over 2 shows? Was it a one-night deal?
2 shows with half the roster on one, half the roster on the other. Let's have a look. Let's have a gander. Sheamus, I think, was on the Monday night one. Sheamus. Come back. Where did you go, Sheamus? Where did you come from?
Well, while you're looking that up, so I guess then the next event then, is the next event just Crown Jewel, or is there anything else going on? Like, Survivor Series isn't that far away.
Sheamus is on SmackDown. There you go. Hard-hitting match of Roman Reigns, please. That'd be fun.
There you go.
There we go. Anyone else? Oh, Ricochet goes to SmackDown as well.
Okay.
Maybe they might elevate Ricochet for once. Probably not. Shame, but who knows? So yes, we do have to. We'll briefly touch upon the wonder that is bloody Crown Jewel. There it is.
I mean, I won't lie. That's a good-looking poster. But
it's a good-looking poster.
But the fact that match is happening in Saudi, like the heck, people would lap that up if they were in that arena.
That's the thing. They're trying to make it a must-see event, but people aren't watching it because of obviously where it's being held. And
I mean, also not to mention they're doing it on a Thursday.
They've always done those on a Thursday.
No, I know, but it's like, if you want the maximum eyeballs,
Yeah.
pick a time when, might be more suited for people.
So they're back to Saudi Arabia for this one. Matches. We have Big E versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship.
That'd be good.
That'll be good. I hope, hopefully, Big E retains. He probably will be retaining. I doubt we're going to see major title changes on this one. Reigns versus Lesnar for the Universal Championship. They're supposed to have more than one match together, so this might be the start of an interesting feud. I think this is the most excited I've been for like a Reigns-Lesnar match since they're sort of the onslaught.
Since the before times.
Since the before times when, everyone had to like Roman. Now everyone has to hate Roman, but we also like him at the same time.
So I'm going to make my bold prediction now for you.
Yep.
Double count out.
Yeah. Or Reigns retains through shenanigans.
Ah, yes.
We've talked about Becky, Bianca, and Banks on the SmackDown Women's Freeway. Goldberg is going to finally have a chance to kill a man when he takes on Lashley.
This is actually happening then, isn't it?
Goldberg just wants to go. What that means, no holds barred means I have a license to kill. No, Goldberg, you're not James Bond. You're not Daniel Craig. Stop it. I got a license to kill.
I mean, hey, you should have called on Anderson, just saying, but
See, if there was a way to tie in No Time to Die, there it was, to be perfectly honest. It's like, I can be like Bond. No, you can't be like Bond, Goldberg, but I'm going to go kill a man.
Look forward to a special pep talk in Saudi Arabia by Timothy Dalton.
So we've also got Mansoor versus Ali, which I've mentioned already. That'll probably be a Mansoor win, because Mansoor, obviously, out of all the usual local talents that don't win, Mansoor always wins when he goes to Crown Jewel. He's somehow got he's got like, I don't know, he's got the number. He knows who to call. Yeah. And the big match, I think, which I think might be a barnstormer, Edge versus Rollins, Hell in a Cell.
Wait, a Crown Jewel?
Yep.
Okay.
So the Edge Rollins feud has gone further. They had another match at Madison Square Garden. Rollins won with a stomp, sent Edge to hospital. Rollins felt a little bit sad, but then he just wanted Edge to acknowledge him that he wasn't Edge liked.
He can't use the acknowledge me line. That's someone else's shtick.
So when Edge decided to try and answer the challenge, Rollins decided to go and visit Edge's actual home. No one was in, but
in the hills of North Carolina.
Yeah, it was a nice cribs tour. You got to look at the kitchen, you got to look at the study, and all that sort of stuff. Seth just going, gonna take some apple juice, gonna look at some children's drawings and go, "They're shit," and then go sit and have a nap on a couch. It was a weird moment. And then basically, last episode of SmackDown got into a brawl. Edge, in his sort of I'm angry and insane moment, just went, Hell in a Cell. And it's like, you know what? This is the first time we can actually be excited about a Hell in a Cell match, because they'll probably do something good with it. Rather than
I look forward to seeing how they're going to get the Hell in a Cell structure to Saudi Arabia.
It's probably on a freighter or something right now, to be honest.
Yeah, it's probably stuck in the Suez Canal or something.
And yes, it will also be the place where we have the finals of King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown.
Right, come on, bring me up to speed then. What the heck has happened with these?
So, King of the Ring has been pretty bog standard, but also all right, to be honest. We had a couple of good matches in the first round on SmackDown. You had Cesaro versus Finn Balor, which was great. Balor won. Sami Zayn beat Rey Mysterio, so we have the SmackDown semi-final of Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor. On the Raw side, you had Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. Woods won. And then you had Kofi Kingston versus Jinder Mahal, which could potentially set up a semi-final between Woods and Kofi Kingston. Jinder Mahal won. so we are looking at the final probably being contested between probably Finn Balor and Xavier Woods. And I think that'll be a
good match.
That'll be a good one. And I really want Woods to win, to be honest. I think Woods...
He is the only person before WWE announced the King of the Ring tournament who was actively campaigning on Twitter to bring back the King of the Ring tournament so he could win.
It'll be cruel if they don't let him win. But there's some really good things there. And Sean's mentioned it in the chat. It could be an interesting way to turn Woods heel if he gets so obsessed with the King of the Ring tournament, if he wins it. And it's kind of like it's not about having a New Day Rocks. It's about King Woods Rocks and that sort of stuff. Maybe it can have a little division there. You could have like an interesting sort of temporary heel turn, maybe. Who knows? And then eventually he seems to have his way. So I was too obsessed with the crown. I'm sorry. And I think for Woods, if Woods isn't going to be promptly featured in probably like a world title picture, which is a shame because I think Woods is an excellent wrestler and he's an excellent personality, and his stock continues to go higher in terms of things like up, down, down, all that sort of stuff. I think if Woods had said, I don't care if I don't have a championship belt, just give me King of the Ring and I'll die a happy man. I can see it happen. I can really see it happening. So yeah, I think King of the Ring has been all right at the moment. It just looks very much earmarked for Woods to win, which would be great, but then again, WWE don't like us. And then we move over to Queen's Crown.
All right, let me grab a drink for this.
So far, we had first round matches between Zelina Vega and Toni Storm. Zelina Vega won. We've had a match between Carmella and Liv Morgan for the umpteenth time. Carmella won. Semi-final. Zelina Vega versus Carmella. And then on the Raw side, we've had Doudrop versus Natalya. Doudrop won. And then we had Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. Baszler won. And the way I look at this tournament, it's clearly earmarked for Baszler to win. I will be stunned if anyone else wins, to be honest.
Because she's the Queen of Spades, right?
Yeah. And considering they are now moving her to SmackDown, and they've split her from Nia Jax. I was about to say Nax. No, Nia Jax. it's like Shia Nax? No, Ian. Nia Jax. They've split her from there, and I think they're going to probably properly rebuild her and probably make her as a credible threat for maybe Charlotte Flair. I think anyone other than Baszler would be a head scratcher, to be honest. Even if it's from a character perspective of making them more annoying or one of those. It would have been
great to have seen Liv won it, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had Liv Morgan and Toni Storm in a semi-final. That would be cool. And then you maybe could have like you could have Toni or Liv versus Shayna Baszler. That's a good final. That's a fun final. No. The real problem with this, the real frustrating problem with this, and this is becoming more apparent with like the women's wrestling, other than like the big matches like Becky, Bianca,
other than the main event, effectively.
Yeah, the matches are incredibly short now. Most of the matches in the first round were less than 3 minutes. Roman Reigns' entrance to the ring was twice that. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, not a very good response for audio listeners there.
Yeah, for our listeners,
I gave a look of confusion.
Jeremy was confused, bewildered, and asked, why?
I mean...
And it's just, it's frustrating because it's like they have a really good women's roster, but the booking and the repeated booking it just isn't working. And again, I can imagine a lot of people saying, well, they're just waiting for like Crown Jewel to be over and done with. It's like, we keep saying we're waiting for things to be over and done with, for things to get good. It's not.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you know what? Royal Rumble ain't that far away.
True.
Are we going to wait until the day of for them to figure out who the hell is going to win
It's
it?
going to be after WrestleMania. It's going to be after WrestleMania next year. It's going to be great.
Right.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's just... And again, it's like the King of the Ring matches have been about the standard 10, 12 minutes. And it's like, it's not... It's like...
It's double standard.
If you are going to treat this tournament, you're doing this for the first time. This is the first time you're doing a women's King of the Ring style tournament. And you have decided to relegate it to 3 minutes per match. It is basically saying you don't give a flying fuck about it. Apologies for language. It had to be said like that. It's frustrating.
Call me cynical here. Given past... What's the way to phrase this? Given the way WWE has done things in the past...
Yes.
Of trying to make things happen... simply because it's like, oh, that would be a good tie-in. For example, having a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view dictating a bunch of matches need to be inside a cell.
Yeah.
As opposed to, in this instance, like you said, Edge and Rollins being a Hell in a Cell match because it's probably going to be the final match in their feud because they're both on different brands now and such.
No, they're still on the same brands.
Oh, okay, well...
They will be.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's escalated to a point where they need a Hell in a Cell match.
Yes.
This very much feels like someone in a meeting just said, "We've got Crown Jewel in what month are we in? October. In October. What can we do to tie into Crown Jewel?" And it's like King of the Ring.
This is
exactly like King of the Ring, and then let's do what's the thing called? The Queen's Crown. Queen's Crown. Let's do a tournament arc. And that's literally how they went about it. And then they've just thought, and because they've done King of the Ring before, oh yeah, we know how to do that. And then they've probably gone, how do we do a Queen's Crown tournament? I mean, I didn't think that far ahead. What do we do?
Oh no! And they turn to one wrestler and say, "What do we do? What do we do? What do we do about this?" And someone just went, "I've drawn a wrestler with a crown. Get out of the office, Barry." Oh.
I mean, I also fully expect that after Crown Jewel, there will be a merchandise line of whatever the winning garb is for King and Queen.
There probably will be. But yeah, it's just like, how you summed it up is probably how it went down. So they just went, we've got King of the Ring. We should really do something about Queen of the Ring, shouldn't we? Can't call it Queen of the Ring. How about Queen's Crown? That'll do.
Because the event is a crown jewel. And the crown can have a jewel on it.
It's going to be a precious jewel. It's not really a precious jewel. We just put it in a fancy dress store. Shut up, Barry. It can't be diamonds.
It'll be as precious as an NFT.
Oh, just as evil and wicked,
oh my god,
Jeremy.
That's what it's going to be, isn't it? The actual Queen's crown is going to be an NFT, isn't it?
Congratulations, you've won the tournament. What do I win? Do I get an actual crown?
You've won a JPEG of the crown.
Here's an NFT. You can watch it on this weird viewer. How do I get it on my phone?
I'll airdrop it to you now. Hang on.
Don't forget, you can buy your John Cena NFTs right here, right now.
The thing is that I'm joking in saying this, but it's ridiculous, like what you've described about this tournament. It's like I said, it's a double standard, and it shouldn't be this way. And I don't mean to make light of it, but literally, this is probably how it happened because this seems like a plausible situation that would occur. I just hope. What's the way to phrase this? If the finals are barnstormer matches and they're given time. It doesn't make up for what the tournament has been, but at least it can be. It's like what's the way to put it? At least it's some form of recompense and actual showing. I guess I can't think of the right word, but it's it's that way of going. Go out there and have a damn good match. The point is, the entire tournament should have been like that.
Yeah,
especially when it's the first one.
I mean, the big thing that sticks out to me is we have Baszler in the tournament, and. Like I said, I imagine Baszler's winning this. But the fact is, you look at the other wrestlers who are now remaining in this tournament. based on what I've seen of them on the main roster the last couple of months, I can't take them as legitimate challenges to Baszler. I cannot believe Carmella stands a chance against Baszler in a final. I cannot believe Vega stands a chance against Baszler in a final. And it's just simply because of how they've been built up as characters. Now, if you brought in a Toni Storm or a Liv Morgan into that equation, I would have said, you know what? I still think Baszler's going to win, but I feel Liv Morgan's going to give a damn good showing of trying her best to win this. And again with Toni Storm can have a really good for match, even if she doesn't win. I believe Storm and Morgan are more believable challengers to beat Baszler than Vega and Carmella, who have been losing for weeks. Unless there's shenanigans going on and Charlotte Flair decides to enter herself into the tournament, because Charlotte Flair hasn't got anything to do at Crown Jewel yet.
Also, doesn't she emanate from the Queen Sissy?
Yes. I have. Why do I have a feeling Vega versus Carmella is going to end up? Someone's going to get injured. Flair injured, or they will refuse to fight one another. So Charlotte Flair will just go, all right, I'll take one of your people's places and I'll just beat you, and then we'll have Baszler versus Charlotte, and then you can start a nice feud there. Wouldn't it be fun, boys and girls?
I mean, look, they've got to do a ridiculous pyro entrance somehow. Oh, that's the other thing as well.
Tyson Fury isn't available.
For Crown Jewel, expect pyro.
Yes. Not Tyson Fury levels of pyro, but expect pyro.
Oh, that happened before, didn't it? Yeah. But
yeah, for that amazing match against Braun Strowman.
I didn't remember it was against Braun Strowman.
Ended with a count out.
And
if you want more horrific memories, go to Parts Unknown and watch the 10 worst Saudi Arabia matches. There
you go. I was going to say, speaking of being counted out, I think we are just about out of time today, everybody.
Yes.
But Ian, it's been a great time catching up. I believe we're going to try and do this again in a couple of weeks. We're going to do it the night before Crown Jewel, aren't we? Or is it the week after Crown Jewel? We're thinking.
I think the week after Crown Jewel.
Okay, I will.
I mean, on a level of principle, I'm not looking to watch Crown Jewel.
I'm not either.
But we'll have a look at the results. If like the outlets are saying these matches are great, go watch it, then maybe I'll catch up on WWE Network. But to be honest, I don't really want to watch it live, and I'm not. And it's just I just don't like the deal that they have. With
just from a moral standpoint, I don't agree. Yeah, quite frankly, that's just. Doesn't need to be.
I know full well Sami Zayn's not going to Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely Balor in the final. Against who is another question. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been great fun catching up on this, Ian. It's been a wonderful time. And as mentioned at the top of the show, everybody, thank you very much for watching us here live on Twitch. And if you've been watching on YouTube, thank you very much for checking out this archive. If you would like to find out more about Bunkazilla, you can find us on Twitter at Bunkazilla UK. And there is, of course, the Facebook group as well. And Ian, in terms of additional places where people could find more information about Bunkazilla UK, anywhere else you would like to point them towards?
At the moment, we are still in the process of getting the new website up and running. So for the time being, it's still the social media channels. So Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, as you can see in the bottom corner down here. There you go. Learning where my fingers are going. Phrasing. So those are on there. There's the magic word. Jeremy's broken. Oh no, phrasing. What have you done? What have you done?
Oh, there you go. There's no way else to follow that, folks. But what I will say is, we won't bring up anything on screen and such, but as a sort of in a way to try and make you think good about something for a little bit after having just talked about how much WWE. Obviously, not this news is good, but the legendary belt maker Reggie Parks has unfortunately passed away during the past week. And if you want to go and see someone who made a genuine massive impact on wrestling and just the overall presentation of wrestling from years gone by, go and look up the championship belts that Reggie Parks has made. Oh, in fact, we are going to bring it up. So Reggie Parks is someone who was literally designed and made the Intercontinental title, the legendary Winged Eagle Championship, the old WWF tag team titles. If you want to go and see the amount of championships that this one person, Reggie Parks, was instrumental in actually bringing to physical life, just look up a thread from Conrad Thompson on Twitter, who I believe is at Hey, it's Conrad. Look up the thread. It is genuinely fantastic, looking at the amount of championships, old school and whatnot, that Reggie Parks was involved with. Also was involved in making a championship belt for a Madonna album cover, as a fun little tidbit for you there. Yeah. So if you want to have like a trip down memory lane and relive some good times and just think of all the classic belts you were watching for years and years, that is a way to do it.
Indeedy. Indeedy do.
So with that being said, Mr. Boulton, it has been fantastic talking to you tonight. Thank you to everybody watching here tonight. And who knows, we may talk some more championship belts next time, because we are totally out of time for today. But from myself, Jeremy Graves, from him, Mr. Iain Boulton, we have been BunkaMania. Take care and speak to you soon.
Stomp on, monsters of culture. Stomp on. Good night.